We are at the legendary racetrack Spa-Francorchamps, and you cannot say racetrack without saying Porsche. And Porsche knows that, so they have developed a thing called the GT3, which is a track-oriented 911. Proper track tool, but it's still road legal, so you can drive it here, have fun and drive it back. How could it possibly get better than that? Well, it can actually, because Porsche knows their customers, so they developed a 911 Cup race car. Even better on the track, but this comes with a price that it cannot be road registered. So could you combine the qualities of these two cars? Yes, turns out you can. There's now this thing, 900 horsepower SCG CUP 900. Turbo car developed on the Turbo S, 900 horsepower, lighter in weight. But how does this actually drive? Don't take my words for that. Let's hear it from a 9-time Le Mans winner and a guy living the supercar life.
This video is brought to you by Selected Car Investment, where we buy and sell only the best collectible cars. Check our website to see if your next car happens to be in stock, or contact us for off-market cars, or if you want help to find your next investment.
Well, that would be fast.
The cars just entered the pit from the track. You probably know Tim Shmee, that has driven lots of cars with thousands of horsepower, and Tom Kristensen, who has won Le Mans 9 times and also has driven cars with 1,000 horsepower. What are your opinions on this car, on this legendary track, Tim? 900 horsepower Porsche.
So I'm spoiled, obviously, to jump in with a man who knows a thing or two about driving a car well. But what's fascinated me is I'm going to say ease with which the car boasts unbelievable performance, the way it accelerates, the way we're passing cars that normally are very, very quick. And in the back of my mind, obviously, because I'm more familiar with driving out on the road, I'm thinking that you can literally just swap tires and off you go out and drive the car, on the street, drive it home. Yet you have this immense grip, this immense acceleration, this immense confidence. The feeling, certainly from the passenger side of the car, is that it's completely planted. It's just it's just a walk in the park. It's just having a day out, It's just having this cruise around. It's amazing.
I'm happy to hear you didn't drive with me, then you would have another impression. I think a lot of what you say stems from the fact that you were driving with Tom. But let's hear your opinion, Tom, because your angle towards powerful cars is a bit different.
Yeah, certainly. But I would call this a very, very high-end track day car. It has the power, 900 horsepower, 4-wheel drive, incredibly good brakes. I find the brakes probably as impressive as everything else. They are durable for the laps we do. And you can really just, with ABS, you can really just throw the parachute, throw the anchor late, but you don't need a lot of force on which is unusual for a race car. Racing car, you need to put a lot of force to make it stop, but it then bites and stop a lot. But this, quite soft on the brake pedal, which is lovely, and the braking distance are incredibly short. I absolutely love that. It's true that it's planted all the way around. For a racing car, you like it a little bit stiffer. You like everything to be a little bit, gives you a little bit faster feedback in that sense. But nevertheless, it gives you then this comfortable ride. So if you want to sometimes take a little shortcut, eat a little bit of the curbs, like you do at Les Combes or down the Brussels, like we tried 1 or 2 laps, we just eat a little bit more curb. It just follows it nice and easy. So in that sense, it's a very, very forgiving tool, and it's a high-tech tool.
Yeah, and when you arrive at your racetracks, normally you don't actually drive the race car to the track. When you arrive at your track days...
Often, yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, after what Tom was saying, Obviously, I'm more familiar with the concept of going on a big road trip. Often when I've come here to Spa-Francorchamps, I've driven here from the UK, for example, right? So I've taken out all of my luggage, lowered my tire pressures, and off I go. And that's the mindset I'm in, because this car starts its life as a 992, 911 Turbo S. And, you know, we're coming down the end of the start straight towards La Source, and I'm like, brake, 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 brake. But obviously, as you say, the braking performance is so incredible that that marker is far beyond what you're used to, even in the latest high-performance road supercars. You know, to be able to throw the anchors that late, but also to stop so confidently, consistently. We did quite a few laps, and often if you're in a road car, you reach that limit and need to do your cool down lap and come back in much, much sooner, obviously, than what this is capable of. This can keep running. You can just keep going.
And well, the purpose, the design brief, was the ultimate track tool, and that you could still drive to the track. And can you see that work in theory, Tim? Would you drive a car like that from London to Spa-Francorchamps?
It's a very cliche phrase to talk about race car for the road. It's often overused, but this is a cage, buckets, no carpets. This is race car for the road. I would love to, because it's that level of extreme, which brings an excitement. You know, a lot of new cars have become, I'm going to say, very like vanilla and watered down, because they need to meet so many comfort requirements. You know, there's a level of expectation in terms of how the fit and finish and feel and quality of everything and the number of materials and sound deadening. Yet the excitement comes from rawness, right? If you're a driver, if you're really enthusiastic about that driving experience, you want a level of excitement that often we lose straight out of the factory with any new car. And that's one way to get it.
Well, there you have
Well
it. From
said.
two proper drivers, I guess I could say the car has passed its exam at Spa-Francorchamps. Thank you, gentlemen.
It's passed it with flying colours.
Flying colours, yeah, literally. Well, you heard the two gentlemen's opinion on the car. Let's dwell a bit deeper into the technical details now. So to get a better insight into the SCG CUP 900 car, I'm here with Mikkel from DC Workshop. Mikkel was deeply involved in the development of the car, and I should mention that DC Workshop is not your usual workshop. You specialize in track day cars, developing them further, adjusting them, maintaining them, and actually you take care of everything for a lot of gentlemen drivers.
Yes.
In racing and in track days as well. So you're not really starting with a blank sheet of paper for this task, but let's take it from the beginning, Mikkel.
Yeah.
Where did you start with this car?
This car was original normal 992 Turbo S. We stripped it down to a bare shell, leaving only the carbon roof on the car. Otherwise, it was completely down to the bare metal.
And why was that necessary at all? Because the 992 Turbo S is a really competent car already.
When you take a standard Turbo S, it's also mainly built as a very, very great, and we should never underestimate how great the car is. It's a really great car for the Autobahn also. And that's the primary objective, is to have a fast Autobahn cruiser missile. That's what the Turbo S is. But
That's a good description, yes,
yeah,
I agree.
But we wanted the same thing, but with more track performance also. Because the Turbo S is a little bit soft in everything. It's a car that was meant to be driven on high-speed Autobahn, but not on the track.
In the beginning of the video, we compared the car to a GT3 and the GT3 Cup car. The GT3, a road car, the Cup car, a race car. So where does this sit when you compare them to those two cars?
It's not even in between, but it's in its own class, I think. The Cup car is very much driven on the edge, where the GT3 road car is more easy to drive and it's more forgiving. This car takes best of the both worlds, but even better performance.
Well, everything else being equal, a four-wheel drive car like the Turbo will always be a bit easier than a two-wheel drive car as the GT3.
Yeah.
But you went further.
We went a lot further. So we have completely redeveloped the car with new suspension, new geometry for all the arms. All suspension arms are redone by Schirmer. So we can have the suspension travel like we want it to. So it makes the car more predictable and a lot safer to drive on the edge.
So that is one of the big differences, that
Yes.
even when you go extremely fast with this car,
Yeah.
it will not bite you.
No, it will not. If you take and compare it to the Cup car, you need to be on the very edge. It's like driving on the knife edge. With this car, the knife edge gets a little bit wider, and even if you overdrive it a bit, it's forgiving, where the Cup car will usually send you into the wall.
Yeah. And also a thing with most race cars and track cars is the issue of weight. The Turbo S is not a light car.
It's definitely not a light car, no.
So how much did you shed on this one?
I think it's about 300 kilos. Just on the doors, if you take the standard door, it's really heavy. This door, the side mirror, is heavier than the door itself.
Wow. Okay. So I guess this is the cue to the carbon word.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
carbon fiber panels on this car, but also a lot of Porsche motorsport from the GT3 Cup car, like the aluminium front fenders and aluminium front hood, that is very lightweight.
And I noticed it's fitted with slick tires, and that's what the guys drove down at Spa as well. They drove on these tires.
Yeah.
But of course, if you want to take it on the road, this will not work. It's
No.
simply not allowed.
You are not allowed
What
to,
would
no.
you do?
You just take the wheels off, put a set of road tires on, smaller wing, that's it. You're good to go.
That would be the thing needed for taking the track day car out on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if we think a bit about that, because it looks pretty fierce standing here, and it
Yes.
sounded and was super fast at Spa. How would this car actually be if you took it to the bakery a Sunday morning, Mikkel?
It would probably be a bit loud for the other people that are going to the baker, but otherwise it's pretty easy to drive. You can drive it like a normal car. It's got the PDK gearbox, so it's easy to drive.
So the gearbox is the same as...
Yeah, it's like the Turbo S, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really, really easy to drive. If you want to take it down the Autobahn, that's easy too. Just jump in and drive.
The brief for the car was always track and road.
Yes.
So where's the balance between the two, you'd say?
You build a race car and then you turn it back a little bit. So you take like the last 10% of the speed out of the car, the rawness and maybe a bit of the sharpness of the car. So you get maybe a little bit understeery, and you get a little bit a car that is able to, you can drive on both the track and the road. But on the road you don't want a full race car setup. This is just turned a notch down.
When it is on the track,
Yeah.
and you compare it to a pure race car on the
Yeah.
track, how would you see this car? Where does it sit then? How would it compare?
Speed-wise, cornering speed, entry and exit, it's maybe a little bit lower compared to the GT3 Cup, but it's so much easier to drive on the limit compared to the Cup car. And the straight line speed is, of course, just ridiculous, and the acceleration, of course, but it's ease of drive. It's the drivability of the car that we went in far lengths to gain.
We saw the car at Spa.
Yeah.
And on slicks. So if you wanted to put your road tires on and take the car to the Nürburgring, for example, which I guess a lot of people would do.
Yeah. The car is actually set up for Nürburgring at the moment.
That was my question, whether
Yeah.
you needed to change further things because...
No. Actually, the car was initially built to take a lap on the Nordschleife. So the suspension geometry and everything is built so that you have the predictability of the front end, but also you have full confidence in that the rear never steps out on you. That's very important when you need to go fast on a lap that is a lot of elevation change and a lot of camber change and bumpy roads, of course. You need a car that is very predictable and easy to drive.
As I said, it does look like a Porsche. And I guess you could see the Turbo S somewhere, but
Yeah.
what Would it be easier for you to show me the original panels or which panels are new?
Yeah, the original panels is quite simple. The roof and the rear fender, and that's it.
And everything else is from the motorsport.
Yeah, there are of course some glasses that are still original and lights, that's it.
Yeah.
Rest of it is motorsport.
And all of it for weight reasons, basically.
Weight reduction and of course aero.
Yeah. Speaking of aero, it is very obvious that this car is fitted with a pure race wing,
Yes.
as opposed to the road car that has, movable aerodynamics.
Yep.
Why did you go this way, Mikkel?
Because this wing gives the predictability that we want and plants the rear end down at high speed, of course. And it's also mounted in a very crazy way. It's all the way down to the frame rails of the car.
Ah, the actual
The swan necks are mounted all the way down to the frame rails. So the downforce is going all the way down to the frame of the car.
It's transferred deep down into the car,
Yes.
not just sitting here on the
No,
rear
not just
panel.
at the top of the bodywork, no.
Yeah. And then when you talk about, let's say we have a lot of new downforce here,
Yeah.
that wouldn't work if you didn't do anything in the other end. So what
No.
did you do there?
We of course replaced all the Turbo S movable aero, removed it, saving weight of course, and then it's the 992 GT3 Cup aero package on the front also.
So generally this car has no movable parts anymore.
No,
That saves a bit of weight, gives
of
a
course.
lot of predictability.
Yeah.
And does it actually generate downforce in this setup?
Yes, it does.
So when you do
200 an hour through a corner, yeah, you got downforce.
and it is more planted than the Turbo S.
Yes, it is.
And then early on, you actually mentioned that there's also a lot of aero going on underneath the car. We can't see that here. So let's go to the workshop and let Mikkel show us what's going on underneath the car.
Let's take a look at the aero package on the car. We of course have the flat bottom like the Turbo S have, and then we also have all the Cup aero package underneath. We have the front splitter, we have the upward sloped inner guards here that helps move air into the brakes. We have these turning vanes that help us create downforce. And then of course we have the Cup diffuser down here. Our goal with this car was to make a car that was fast, predictable and relatively easy to drive. To meet some of these criteria, we had to remove the four-wheel steering, redo all our suspension arms and install a new suspension setup. For the track we also wanted slicks, so we moved over to a 19-inch wheel so we had better options for tires.
So Mikkel, the big question, who is this car intended for?
This car is intended for the general driver that wants a track-capable car, but also road-capable car.
You certainly showed the track part of it at Spa, where it was driven by Tom Kristensen and a British guy named Shmee. You could say he is sort of a gentleman driver, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Has there, well, I know it generated a lot of interest at Spa. Has there been...
There's been quite a bit of interest, both national and international, for this car.
Well, I wish you the best of luck with this project. And if you identify as a gentleman driver, this might be a car for you. Let me hear your thoughts and your comments below. And we'll see you for the next one.